Good day and welcome to the Funtendo Market Report on Tuesday, March 4, 2025, your premier source for financial market news, bringing you today's market highlights with insight, wit, and just a touch of charm. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to stay in touch with the latest and most important news that affects your life. Starting with commodities, gold had quite the rally today, climbing $25.70 to $2,926.80 per ounce as investors sought safety amid growing market instability. When uncertainty strikes, gold becomes the financial world's comfort blanket, and today was no exception. Concerns over global trade disruptions, wavering confidence in central banks, and fears of prolonged inflation have all contributed to this surge. In particular, investors are reacting to new tariffs imposed on Mexico and Canada, which are expected to disrupt supply chains and increase production costs. With inflation back in the spotlight, traders are hedging their bets with gold, anticipating even higher prices if economic conditions continue to deteriorate. Moving into silver, the metal followed gold's lead, though with a more subtle move. Unlike gold, silver is not just an investment hedge but also a key industrial metal, heavily used in technology, electric vehicles, and renewable energy. While it doesn't command the same safe haven status as gold, its dual role as both an investment and an essential component in manufacturing keeps it in demand. If inflation continues to creep higher and supply chain issues impact industrial output, silver could see even more upside in the weeks ahead. Shifting to oil, crude prices dipped slightly, with crude settling at $68.15 per barrel, down 22 cents. The decline seems minor, but it reflects broader concerns about global demand. With China's economic recovery stalling and signs of slower manufacturing activity in Europe, traders are worried that future energy demand may weaken. There's also speculation that the US may tap into the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, SPR, again in an effort to keep gas prices stable, though such a move would be highly political in an election year. At the same time, OPEC is watching the situation closely, and if prices continue to slip, expect the cartel to hint at production cuts to keep markets from sliding too far. Over in the crypto world, Bitcoin and other digital assets managed to stay in the green, just barely. Bitcoin edged up 0.54% to $88,184.64, while Ethereum climbed 0.63% to $2,203.35, and XRP rose 1.08% to $2.47. But behind these small gains, the crypto market is facing major uncertainty after reports surfaced that the US government has been quietly accumulating Bitcoin in what's now being called the Strategic Crypto Reserve. The news has sparked speculation that Washington may be preparing for a more aggressive regulatory stance, either to control supply or eventually introduce a government-backed digital alternative. Traders are split on whether this is bullish or bearish, but what's clear is that government involvement in crypto is only going to increase. Turning to equities, Wall Street had a rough day, with stocks sinking as trade war fears returned in full force. The Dow Jones dropped 670 points, minus 1.55%, to 42,520.99. The S&P 500 lost 71.57 points, minus 1.22%, to 5,778.15, and the Nasdaq dipped 65.03 points, minus 0.35%, to 18,285.16. Today's sell-off was largely driven by new tariffs on imports from Mexico and Canada, which sent shockwaves through multiple sectors. Investors are now bracing for the impact of rising costs on corporate profits and consumer prices, with many expecting inflation to remain stubbornly high despite earlier optimism that it had been tamed. In geopolitical news, the US government's decision to pause military aid to Ukraine sent defense stocks tumbling. Lockheed Martin fell 4.2%, Raytheon lost 3.8%, and General Dynamics dropped 3.5%, as investors recalibrated expectations for future government defense contracts. For months, Wall Street had priced in continued US support for Ukraine, but today's announcement threw that assumption into question. While European nations are expected to ramp up their own defense spending in response, American defense contractors face a period of uncertainty. Meanwhile, European defense firms like BAE Systems and Rheinmetall actually gained, as analysts anticipate that NATO allies will now take on a larger role in supplying Ukraine with arms. Looking at trade and consumer news, shoppers may want to prepare for higher grocery bills as new tariffs on Mexico are set to drive up food prices. Mexico supplies over 60% of the strawberries, avocados, and citrus fruits imported into the United States, and retailers are already warning of price hikes in the coming weeks. Avocados are expected to jump by at least 20%, meaning your guacamole habit is about to become a luxury. Berries and bananas are also set to rise in price, along with other fresh produce that heavily relies on cross-border imports. Retail chains like Walmart and Target are cautioning consumers that these tariffs could lead to broader price increases, affecting not just food but also electronics, clothing, and household goods. Inflation may have cooled in recent months, but this new round of trade restrictions could quickly reverse that trend. Wrapping up today's market action, the biggest losers were automakers, retailers, and defense contractors. Tesla, Ford, and GM all saw declines, as rising import costs threatened to cut into margins. Retail giants like Amazon, Walmart, and Costco also slipped on fears that tariffs will hit their bottom line. On the flip side, gold miners had a great day, with stocks like Barrick Gold and Newmont Mining benefiting from the surge in precious metal prices. European defense firms also saw gains, as investors expect them to pick up the slack left by the US aid pause to Ukraine. Looking ahead, all eyes will be on how Washington handles the fallout from these new tariffs and whether Europe moves forward with new defense commitments. Investors are also watching for signals from the Federal Reserve, which may have to adjust its stance if inflation resurfaces due to rising consumer costs. It's a volatile market out there, and the coming weeks could bring even more surprises. That's all for today's Funtendo Market Report. Stay sharp, stay savvy, and remember, every market dip is just another opportunity in disguise.